Everything you desire is waiting for you to claim it. There's no creating involved, only invention through imagination and building through action. You are at the center of all your desires, dreams, and achievements. Welcome to Designing Your Life Today, the podcast that's all about your success, achieving your goals, building wealth through your business, and building your most passionate, powerful, magnificent life. Discover ways to use your purpose to connect you to serving others and living your dreams. I am Pat Council, and I know you are built by design to win. And it all begins with knowing how to tap into your success energy. Let's get on the path of discovery, decisive action, development, and unwavering dedication to your life's calling. It's time to embark on a transformative journey where your deepest passions become your most rewarding achievements. Embrace your power to shape your destiny, because this is your moment to do life with power. Hello, Power Up Nation. Pat Council here, and we're going to talk about setting goals and creating objectives that matter. And so this is truly going to be a very short podcast. I wanted to give you some insight into perhaps what you want to consider when you are setting your goals for the coming year. How exciting. We're almost at the end of this year. When it comes to setting goals, a lot of times we set goals from a position of the material things. We want new car, new house, more money. We want to pay off bills, whatever the goal might be. Lose weight and become more physically fit, these kinds of things. And there is nothing wrong with setting those kinds of goals. Absolutely nothing. However, when it comes to setting your goals and creating objectives that really matter, in order for you to get those things, you may want to consider setting goals that are connected to your purpose, connected to your calling and why you're here. What do you really want to achieve while you're here? What kind of, let's say, gifts do you want to present to the world? How do you want to serve? When you come from that position, then setting your goals will be not only a lot easier, but you're going to be a lot more inspired. I find that through coaching, some of the people that I coach, they have challenges meeting their goals because they are focused on, let's say, the end game first. And we are supposed to begin with the end in mind, but it's the type of ending that we are supposed to have in mind such that we can get the outcome that we're looking for. In other words, you don't want to start with the material things. I shared this in yesterday's episode where I talked about the fact that getting material things, that's really almost on the lowest part of the energetic totem pole. And the part that really matters is you paying attention to your purpose and why you're here. So why do you do that? Because this is what's going to cause you to grow. This is what's going to cause you to stretch. This is what's going to cause you to do life with power and to really recognize your magnificent self. You're going to get a better understanding of who you are and why you are here. There's nothing more joyful, nothing more peaceful than understanding why you are here. Now, a couple of days ago, I talked about the importance of silence and how important it is to really be still and be silent, because things grow in the silence. And then the follow-up podcast to that was about your winning authority, that the fact that your winning authority is in your authenticity. In order for you to achieve any goal, you really have to fully embrace who you are. And the person that you really are, it is a person who's actually, you are built to achieve. That's why we are here. In order for you to do your part and serve your reason for being on this earth, you really have to achieve. So when a person is having a difficult time achieving, then perhaps the objectives that they're looking at don't really matter. So what does that mean? The objectives that they're looking at is that if I do this, I'll be able to have a nicer home. If I do this, I'll be able to have more money. Those things are important. Those things are great. I can tell you, they have been among my list of goals to achieve, but they're not at the top. Now, let me share this with you. If you say, well, I don't really fully know my purpose, I don't really know why I'm here. Well, I'll just tell you, this is where that scripture, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. This is where that will come in handy, because you really want to seek. Part of seeking involves being silent, being still, and listening. Part of seeking involves accepting the fact or acknowledging the fact that, listen, I am here for a purpose. This is where you are now kind of opening the box on your winning authority. When we set goals and we set out to do something new, and I've shared this, I think, on previous podcasts, that it's important to set goals that are bigger than you, that you don't set the same goal every single time or the same boring goal every single time. You want to set bigger goals, because this is what's going to cause you to open up. Now, if you feel a little bit of stress, if you feel a little bit of fear, then it's telling you something. It's telling you that you have to learn to trust that God knew what he was doing when he built you. That God knew that what the purpose, your purpose for being here was. He knows why he put you on this earth. And you have to trust that because of that, you will be able to follow through. But when you're focused on yourself, oh, I'm afraid. Oh, I procrastinate and I do these things. And you know what? That's kind of a normal thing these days with a lot of human beings. Actually, it's probably been normal since the beginning. I don't know, or normal for a long time. But we put more attention on procrastination and talking about how not to do these things. And while it is important to have that kind of information, it's more important that instead of putting your attention on the procrastination or the fact that you're stuck or the fact that you can't get from point A to point B, because every time you get ready to do something, there's something inside that stops you. It makes you afraid. Instead of putting your attention on those kinds of things, instead of worrying, instead of stressing, instead of doubt, then you want to say to yourself, or find perhaps an affirmation where you can affirm that this is my purpose. And I have to trust God, because when you're focused on the other things, the doubt, the worry, the stress, the fear, the procrastination, what you're saying is you don't trust God. So what does that mean? That means that you think that you have to do everything in your own might. But understand this, when you fall in line with your purpose and get rid of all the dumb stereotypes that have been put into, let's say, our heads, and the different judgments and prejudgments that really create obstacles, mental and emotional obstacles for you. Instead of paying attention to those things, create a very clear picture of what it is you want to accomplish and get a very clear understanding of what is your purpose. The thing about setting objectives that matter. Part of one of the objectives that you may want to consider, and this is an objective that will cause you to open up more, is that you're going to become more aware. My objective is to be more aware, or be aware of who I am, be aware of how I'm built, get an understanding of what, as a human being, what my powers are. You know, what kind of powers did God put in me? So once you become aware, that's an objective that matters, because now you're on this path of awareness, and you're going to realize that you're not this person who is slow at doing something, that procrastinates, that's afraid, or whatever else, or won't be accepted if you step out, or you're concerned that people will laugh at you if you step out and you make a mistake. That's your ego holding you back and stopping you. So the objective that would matter would be awareness. The other one would be acceptance. And that means if you understand what your abilities are, you have to acknowledge or accept the fact that that these abilities are in you, and that you are capable of following through and really making something happen and doing your part. But now here's the caveat to this one. When you accept your abilities, you also have to accept the fact that that those abilities must be cultivated and they must be developed, especially when you haven't used them or you spend a lot of time denying that they even exist. So you want to look at that. And then finally, this is an extremely important objective, is you want to make an agreement with yourself. And you can make the agreement and include someone else in that, but you both must be on a journey towards fulfilling your purpose. But you want to make an agreement that you will be who you were designed to be by doing what it takes to release your magnificent self. So these are objectives that matter. And when you look at that and you focus on those things and you reinforce that, you affirm that, then what's going to happen is you're going to be very pleased with, well, let's just say who you evolve into. People often say that people change. And I've said this on this podcast several times, that I think that what we call change, it's because if I appear to be someone different to someone who's known me all of these years and I'm behaving differently, in their minds, I have changed. Okay. But the reality of it is it was in me from day one. Okay. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. The wholeness of let's say of your magnificent self, that's in you already. You just have to evolve into that. Part of that evolution includes awareness, acceptance, and of course, making that agreement. Nothing comes forward unless you agree. I have talked to people who come up with excuses as to why let's say they're not making it, or why they can't get something done, or why they didn't follow through, or why they're not getting results. That means they have not made an agreement with themselves that they will be who they were designed to be. See, when you step into that kind of power and you allow it to come forward because it's already in you, now all of a sudden you're going to just feel so much better. Now, another caveat. That does not mean for a moment you won't feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel uncomfortable because you're used to playing small. You're used to not saying, hey, I'm good at this. You're used to pretending that you're not good at something. You're used to putting yourself down. You're used to accepting less than. And so when it comes to setting objectives that matter, and those are just a few. We'll talk about more as we go into the month of November, because when you go into 2026, the new year, you want to be ready. But setting your goals if you center them around your purpose. Okay, for example, you're in a business. That business is connected to your purpose. Now you set goals as to where you want that business to go. So when you set those goals as to how much money you want to earn in that business, how many people you want to serve in that business so that you can actually earn that money, and what is it going to take for you to do that? Okay, though that's a different set of objectives. We'll talk about that another time. But when you start doing that, now all of a sudden you're going to find that's where the car comes from, or the paying your bills comes from, or the earning the money and doing whatever, travel or whatever it is you want to do. That's where the things come from. Okay. So as I said, this is a short podcast. And if you set your goals and create objectives around what I've suggested, you have to understand this is what you're putting at the forefront of your mind, your conscious mind. Okay. And when you put these things at the forefront of your mind, the mind acts on the impulse of the strongest suggestion that you give it. Now, if you constantly reinforce the idea that you can't, or you're slow, or just come up with a dozen excuses that really don't serve you, then the mind is going to accept that as well. So you want to understand what you're doing. Be in alignment, or get in alignment with your purpose, and you'll be surprised how things are going to start to happen for you. Well, basically, in a nutshell, as I wrap up, what this means is you need to claim your true nature. And we're going to talk about what your true nature is in the coming episodes in the month of November. I believe it's scheduled for November. But this year, we're going to talk about that so you can understand what your true nature is. And when you understand what your true nature is, you will take responsibility for this person that you desire to be. Instead of feeling as though you're letting yourself down, you're going to embrace the best of who you are. So with that being said, that's a little bit of insight into setting goals and creating objectives that matter. So I want you guys to think about your purpose. You know, we talked about being silent. So sit in the silence and think about your winning authority. And that's rooted in authenticity. So think about who you really are. And if you find yourself thinking that you're someone negative, if you describing yourself using negativity, that's not who you are. So find your true self. And that is the very meaning, in a sense, of authenticity. When we operate within our true self is who we were made to be, who God made us to be, the purpose that he put into us. So once you start to connect with that, now you're going to set goals and you're going to start to create objectives that really matter to you. I gave you a few objectives that you want to pay attention to, but the other objectives that will matter will be the objectives that will help you to push yourself forward, push your goals forward or upward. And before you know it, you're going to be doing life with power.